In part 1 of Inside My Stable with Bernie Hewitt, the popular horseman spoke about his decision to leave Crookwell and set up in Bathurst. He also relived the night the attempted abduction of Smooth Satin took place. We start part 2 by discussing the deeds of Nicolong Shadow, a horse trained by Bernie's father Tom.
So early on in your career, Nicolong Shadow came along and sort of put the Hewitt family on the map, Australia-wide.
Yeah, well, Dad was kicking along. He got, he sort of didn't have as many horses when we were growing up. He was working hard himself and on his own property there. And then as we grew up a bit more, he got more involved in the horses again. He always was, of course. And then he bought this mare in foal, Tundara Queen, and brought her in foal to Shadow Star, and she was carrying Nicolong Shadow. So along came Nick, and we were doing a fair few horses about that stage, and he sort of really kicked Dad along a lot then, because he actually won 10 two-year-old races. I think he won his first 5 straight, or might have been first 4 straight, and then he got severely checked in a heat of the Breeders' Plate down at Leeton, and then he come out and won the final. He beat a nice horse called Von Trapp, and Tipper Win, I think, was third, both Victorian horses. So that was a great thrill for Dad. So he won that, and as I said, he went on and won 10 two-year-old races, and he ran in some nice races at Harold Park and so forth, and was running into the likes of Rolly Ella and others that age. It was a pretty good season. So and then he backed it up next year and won 10 3-year-olds, run second, I think, in the South Australian Derby, Tacoma Jitsu, raced in a few derbies like Victorian Derby, New South Wales and Queensland, so he was competing at the highest level. So he was a great horse. I think he went on and won 45 races and about 260,000, which is good back in the mid-80s and late 80s, yeah.
Took you, or gave you your first taste of an Inter-Dominion?
Yeah. He was invited over to West Australia along with Rolly Ella, and Dad and Kevin Rivette travelled together over there with those 2 horses, and flew them over, and I think Dad drove him in the heat of the Nugget, and I drove him in the final, and then we stayed on for the Inter, and he qualified and run 6th in the final. He's only beaten about 6 metres, I think, in the final. So I think Rowley ran 5th that year, and so it was a great thrill back in those days to head over there and compete in the Inter-Dominion. Yeah.
Since 2000, 2001, you've had more than 40 winners every season, and in terms of numbers, I think 07, 08 was your best. You had 89, but it's interesting looking at your stats because you've won more prize money each season as you've gone along. Is it something that you achieve a number of winners every season to improve on what you've done last year? Is there a goal you set yourself each year?
No, I don't. I honestly don't even look at too much at the figures. Every now and then you look at the Gazette and see how you're kicking along, and but it's not something I sort of go out and set my mind to. No, I sort of just often a bit of a slow starter because we race into the winter a bit, and then often do a lot of breaking in, and often don't race a lot of horses during the springtime. So it's sort of, I don't really set any goals. I've seen that happen plenty of times, and you only get disappointed if you're not achieving what you set out to do. So I think I just look at it. You go and do your best whenever you're out there, and if the winds come along, well and good, and just try and sort of move horses on a little bit more than what I used to, and try, because I've got usually young ones coming along, so try and give them all a good chance, and if they're not quite there, we'll just move them on. And lately I've been sending a fair few through to Queensland, when they get on a mark here, and you can place them a bit better up there. So actually, even getting other guys to train them up there for us as well, so keeping shares in them, or keeping them owning them ourselves, Kath and I, and sending them up there. So we're pretty happy with how it's going.
A couple of nice horses that you've had through the stable. Super Nick.
Yeah, he is by Nicolong. He is probably still one of the best horses I've ever had. Unfortunately, he had a leg problem. It was a chronic problem. I was always going to see him finish up early, and which it did. But he won the carousel, a strong carousel at Harold Park, and he gave us a big kick along. He actually won the Canola Cup in the early days, and he won a horse float for us then. Grant and Jen Pickham, my sister and brother-in-law, and Kath and I owned him, so he won a horse float for us, and I still cart horses around on it today, you know, and that was back in about 2000. And then he went on and won the carousel, and I think that was a year Tony Pace sponsored it, and he had put 2 cars up for prize money, so that was a great result for us. I think he come off the 11 gate, and he smashed him in that carousel, come from a long way back, and he was in front with a lap to go and run away from him. And it was a great thrill for all the families to win 2 cars back in then, and we both traded up and got, you know, that got us into our first sort of 4-wheel drive and so on, so kicked us along well from there.
What about a horse by the name of By the Left?
Yeah.
He had a lot of ability.
He did. He had a lot of ability, and Peter Neal purchased him from New Zealand as a going horse, and he came over here and did quite a good job. He was a big lanky guy, and he had a few issues. He used to cross fire a little bit, or cross fire, you know, quite badly. And I used to have to wear an unconventional bell boot, which actually fitted really tight against his coronary band, and because he used to belt himself there, and quite often he actually hit himself and bruised him, and it caused quarter cracks. So, but we had a good run with him and won quite a number of races, and he ended up just missing out on a I think it was a Chariots of Fire. I think he won 6 in a row leading in the Chariots of Fire, but he missed a run somehow and never got a chance at that good level. But he won the Purcell Memorial and different races on the way through, you know. And eventually he had a throat problem, and he had to have a throat operation. I think that might have happened halfway through that period, and it put him back out for a while and that sort of thing. But yeah, he had a few problems, but he had plenty of ability as well.
Operative Lopez finished 2nd in a Breeders' Crown for you?
Yeah, she was a good mare. Another one that Jen and Grant and Kath and I owned. So she was a great mare, Operative Lopez, and she won 2nd in the Breeders' Crown, and you know, won quite a few races with her. Bought her out of the Bathurst sale. Yeah, she was a lovely mare, and we're breeding with her now. She's a bit hard to get in foal, and she's had a little horse called Son of Lopez, which is a nice little horse for us, still racing up in Queensland at the moment, but she sort of struggles to go in foal, so these days she's sort of not breeding too well, so but yeah, had a lot of fun with her.
What's been your favourite horse that you've had?
Outside of Nicolong Shadow, I had a really good mare called Pretty Sassy years ago, and she won a few mares championships at Harold Park and Queen of the Paceway, and you know, she won the Jim Roos Sprint and beat some really good colts and geldings that year. She was probably one of the toughest mares I've ever had. More recently, Sherry Cullen was a nice mare, won the Pink Bonnet with her and different races. She also won the Lyndon Huntley as a Tyrrell filly. Super Nick will always have a place in my heart. He was a great little horse. He was every bit as fast as his father, and could have even been stronger, but we never got to see the you know, his true ability. Yeah, By the Left was a nice horse. Veloci Cavallo was another nice mare I had for Peter Neal. We've got a nice little mare now called Read About Lexi, or Philly, 3-year-old Philly. She's doing a great job for us. Just had a lot of nice, you know, nice horses without having the champion horse yet. So I'm sort of waiting for that one.
What about you've mentioned the kids a little bit, but you must be proud of your children.
Oh, for sure. You know, all the kids have been heavily involved, and especially when you start a venture like this, you know, there's a lot of hard work. Jace was the oldest boy. He did a lot of driving for me when he left school. He worked here for a few years, and he drove quite a lot of winners himself. And he moved on then to do other things, and he's recently got married, but he's got more into the machinery side of things, and he worked for a period in the mines. He's making a real go of things at the present, so bought his own home, and he's just recently updating that, so to go to a bigger and better home. So he married a girl called Amy Hotham, so they're settled in Bathurst, so everything's going good there. Gem's been heavily involved all the way through as well, working at home, and then she sort of made it up with Maddie Rue, so they're doing a good job together. They recently went to America and had a visit over there and spent some time over there, you know, just sort of working and a little bit of a holiday as well. So they've learned a fair bit over there, and Maddie sort of, he worked here for a while and then went and worked for Luke for a while, Luke McCarthy, and now he's back here again now, sort of working here again and working a few, and one day he hopes to set up in town at the new track. And then Dougie sort of, he drove quite a number of winners as well, and he sort of chased a footy career then. He's still chasing that elusive, you know, dream that he had of playing first grade rugby league. So at the moment it's all turned to tears because he's got to have a total knee reconstruction after training incident earlier this year up at the Tweed Seagulls, which is a feeder club for the Titans. So at the moment he's just arrived home again yesterday to help out during the Gold Crown. So he's got to have an operation, and then hopefully he'll be back on track next year. So he might even don the colours one of these days, so we get shorter drivers again.
Last couple of questions. In 10 years, what do you want to be doing?
It's sort of one of those things. It's hard to know. You know how we'll be going in 10 years. Hopefully, health is still good and still driving a few winners. But I honestly haven't thought too far ahead. I don't know if I want to sort of be doing it when I'm sort of 70 or 80 or whatever. So I'd definitely like to be doing it as an owner. I don't know if I want to do the hard yards right till the end, so I'll just have to wait and see what happens, I guess. But if we can keep kicking home a few winners, and you know that gets you going again, gets you out of bed, and get you sort of bright. So, but when you're in the rut and you're not getting many winners, it's pretty hard. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'll be doing in 10 years.
And what about the new Bathurst track? What do you think of that compared to the old showground?
Yeah, look, I think we all love the showground track. A lot of history there, but we had to move on, and you know, it's a different style of race, and it's like we race at Menangle now. Yeah, there's no sort of backing off really. It's all out there and running, and I noticed the first month or so of racing at Bathurst, everybody was sort of driving a bit careful, and you know, probably not driving it right. And I had a great run there for the first month or so, and you know, we're winning races left, right, and centre. And since then, every race now it's run at a hectic tempo, and everyone's making sure they get up there if they can and into the race. So the track itself is really good. It's one of the best tracks I've been on, and been on a fair few around the country. So there's nothing wrong with the track at all. It's going really good.
Well, Bernd, thanks for having us and showing us inside your stable, and all the best of luck for many years to come.
No worries. Thanks, Greg.